Hello, everyone. Welcome to the short video of the OpenStack practical series by kernel.com. My name is Anton Korneluk, and we are discussing today why we have created this video series at all. In the two previous videos, you have seen information about cloud computing and why we have chosen the OpenStack. Now, we mentioned in the previous video that OpenStack is 12, probably 13 years old. Why now? Well, there is one reason for that one. We have started looking into the OpenStack. We have been engaged in a few projects recently. And when we start looking about what is existing on the OpenStack, obviously a lot of people, let's be frank, like certification, right? So when I have taken a look, if you open the Google and type Openstack Certificate, you will get immediately to the Certified OpenStack Administrator, COA. This is an exam which is created to boost the operational knowledge of the OpenStack for the, as I said, OpenStack admins. So I have taken this exam myself in the beginning of the 2022. The exam is performance-based. Basically, the exam checks how well the candidate is able to perform OpenStack activities, such as doing the configuration of certain resources within the OpenStack, creating users, creating projects, creating the connectivities, communications, and so on and so forth. Now, one of the important things, though, it is focusing solely on how well you can use OpenStack, which is good. It doesn't, though, answer the question, how would I build OpenStack? Now, for myself personally, I've spent equally the same amount of time to build the lab, to install the OpenStack and make it working, probably even more compared that I was preparing to the exam itself. So parsing the topics, okay, which command to run in the CLI, or which buttons to click in the OpenStack UI. It's easy and it is boring. Yes, you need to know how to do this in order to be able to create the resource and to be able to support the customers. But ultimately, all the things with our patient automation, we could automate relatively easy. And somewhere later, the training will see how we can automate the deployment of the OpenStack resources with the Terraform and Ansible. But coming to the original point, there are some trainings from various providers supported by the vendors like Mirantis, for example, or Red Hat, or from some third-party individuals available on the Udemy, which we actually have used ourselves for preparation. But there is no meaningful information really how to build OpenStack to a degree, because there are so many different options how to build it. So that everyone says for their students in the very beginning, download all at one, install all the components of OpenStack in one box, and later somehow you get to that. Well, you won't. And that's why we start thinking, okay, we want to know how to build OpenStack so that it's not only like there is a one-node deployment with all the OpenStack components in a single VM, which I just download and run when I'm preparing to the exam, and then I'm magically getting the job of the OpenStack, and I'm coming to the company where OpenStack is already built, and I'm just clicking the button, run the select commands. Now, how can we build OpenStack? So we start looking in the official documentation available on the docs, openstack.org, some other blogs, and there is a huge gap between the exam blueprint, which are focusing on the operational part of the OpenStack, and the real life where I need to build OpenStack from scratch. Now, looking through the multiple available documentation, got to figure out quite a bit of the gaps everywhere, so that we open certain documentation and we say, okay, so this is a step of the commands that I need to run. Brilliant. So they say this, for example, commands I need to run for the CentOS 8. By trying to run this command for the CentOS 8, and they will say, well, so unfortunately, this command is not supporting the CentOS 8 because this daemon is not importing the CentOS 8. And by the way, CentOS 8 is not officially supported already since the end of 2021. So a lot of companies stopped dropping support of some things. Or as the way around, installing the OpenStack on the Ubuntu, we need to run steps A, B, C, cool, but certain daemons are not available, or networking has changed. Now we're using NetPlan instead of using the ETC network interface. So a lot of things which probably for the people who has a huge amount of experience with their Linux and OpenStack are self-explanatory, which absolutely no-go further for beginners, and which is quite time-consuming for the average level of the engineers. So we decided, okay, with this video series, we created simple and practical step-by-step guide so that you don't need to spend tens of hours repeating our mistakes and trying to build OpenStack. Will provide a clear way how we take from the very scratches, from the creating the VM for the lab, but taking into account the real deployment with multiple components, with multiple devices, with multiple networks, dedicated networks for the tenant traffic, for the storage, for the productional traffic, for the provider traffic, and bring it into simple, easy steps. So this would be our training is about, to give you a clear view what are the real world OpenStack building blocks, not what you have seen in the COA exam. At this stage, we're not going really to cover the topic of the COA exam. There's already huge amounts of the good information available online. But we want to cover the gap between the traditional COA blueprint and what you need to know about how to deploy the OpenStack in the real life. As said earlier, me having a double C exam, I know when I was preparing for CCA labs, I was building a real network with 10, 20, 30 routers when I was trying to emulate the whole network. Yes, it was almost like full feature, complicated network with all the routing protocols and services on top. Why? Because I need to understand how the system is working on scale, how various networking solutions working together. Same story really with the OpenStack. Focusing only on the operational aspect of the radio OpenStack is good, but doesn't really give you a possibility to build OpenStack. That's what we want to do. So, and therefore, the second step is not only to give you a view of what is the OpenStack and how the things are working together, how you can create step by step the OpenStack. Yes, we will be building the VMs so that instead of for you now panicking, oh, I need to have 20 servers to build OpenStack, you could relax. If you have one decent server, it would be good enough to run the OpenStack. Yes, you would need to have quite a bit of resource. So later we'll talk about the lab. You will see that OpenStack, even in simple lab deployment, consists of a number of the elements. But it is better to understand how really the OpenStack is working and what the elements you need to have, rather than being in some sort of the dream that, okay, I don't need this, I don't need this in order to pass the exam. You will pass the exam and then you will appear yourself in the world of pain without knowing, okay, how real OpenStack deployment is looking like. Third one, we just want to polarize the OpenStack. We believe its potential is really, really huge. And I know that we already have people using OpenStack widely in the web scale companies and research industry and the service provider, but it could be used much more. And also for the company that are already using OpenStack, we could have to provide some further interesting thoughts how they could improve their readiness. If this is what you're after, you're at the very right place. And with the next video, we'll start focusing on our lab setup and how basically we will start building OpenStack from scratches, step by step. So see you in a moment in a new video.